Well, let's see how this one pans out, Jonathan. Game 2, Kukuys, they're one game away from proceeding. Beating Aurora, it's a big deal. You know, it boosts your confidence even more. You know, Armel's going to be like feeling amazing, you know, because he took it easy this game as well against Palos, of course. You know, it's going to be great. We'll see, though. Good luck, have fun, babies, again from Palos is what we're seeing. Palos, this man's got, you know, he's just too cocky. Too confident.
Yeah, same thing as well. Good luck, beast carry. Palos, for some reason, pointing out Ponyo, as it is probably the most random thing in the Kukuys stack that Ponyo is there. I mean, he did spend some time in Manila while he was on town, so fair enough.
That's all you need.
Yeah, you can consider him an honorary Filipino. A little bit of a long smoke around, but there is a defensive ward here from the side of Kukuys as it breaks.
Oh, Insanity. A bot. Run. Oh, I'll land the Impale, but he's by the tier 2. It's a little bit too much. No dive. And they'll know the ward's been placed in the high ground as well, so we'll see if Aurora do want to try for the deny play on that ward. Otherwise, chances are it's just going to be taken out for free. I am questioning how well this Medusa is going to do this game. You know, I know I'm the one who brought it up during the draft, but it is still up against an Invoker. I know it's not going to be a fun time if those EMPs consistently land. You know, whether we're going to see the Lion Pugna sucking the Medusa at the same time. Like, part of me wants to enjoy the view of it, and other parts of me doesn't want to, because I know I'll probably hear about it for the next couple years, if that's the case from you. Just every game, you'll be like, remember that time, Mike? Remember that time we saw Lion of Pugna sucking Medusa? Remember that?
Look,
that's all I hear.
We had a game that we were casting where Life Drain went off 3 times in a row. Right? Like, he was just constantly life draining on the edge at, like, top jungle near large camp. Right where near this sentry is actually planted. We had a game like that, so I haven't been popping off about that, Mike, you know. Someday, you know what? A lion and a Pugna sucking like that, it would be worthy of being called out. You can't deny that. That is worthy of being recalled 2, 3, 5 years down the line, 20 years down the line. When we're old and your kids are teenagers, they're like, you remember that mana drain, Mikey?
Look, John,
and the life drain. Do you remember that?
I've got one day to live, John. I've got one day to live. Leave me alone. Enough.
Get back into it and watch the game.
The end I deserve, John. Dying in a hospital bed and John X Fires talking to me about Pugna Line. That's the end I deserve.
That's it. The last thing you see is not a light. You'll see a life drain.
Ponyo. He's not seeing the light either, Jonathan. He's down. First blood already for Jabs. And this is the thing. You're playing up against Visage. You know Soul Assumption's going to really hurt. You've got to be careful. Oof. Bottom lane in the meantime, Jewel also going down. Apparently, Ollie able to pick up a kill.
Yeah, it's a strong start for Aurora. Again, finding these openings they'd want. You have to be careful about bleeding out the laning phase from Kukuys. This is something we've seen from Aurora before, but laning has always been one of the things that kind of sets apart our top tier C teams. And looks like Aurora has kind of shaken off game 1. Trying to find that aggressive angling that they'd want. And getting some good punish, especially down bot. Like, that death online is certainly not something you'd expect for Joel. Is having to walk back as well, as he did TP, or tried to TP a while ago. The top lane, despite that death on the Phoenix, is still smooth going, for the most part, on a bot. And he is just going to be able to farm up anyhow. This is not the most aggressive lane in the world for the side of Kukuys. There's a lot of room for the side of Aurora to just try to play aggressive. Again, you can just try to keep pumping out the Soul Assumption damage, and just keep applying pressure. You still have that great time with the death toll. You do still get some good farm, although it doesn't work as well as it once did. It's still highly effective, of course, in building up an early lead. We're taking a look at mid for just a moment, and for this matchup on the Invoker and the Earth Spirit, it is fairly stable for Abed. Like, there's not too much you can really expect there from Armel. It's down to Mouse again.
I'm telling you, John, these players aren't allowed to have wireless peripherals. It's got to be corded. It has to be. Because if you get the ones with cords, they can't mess up like this.
Yeah. I mean, they could. You know, they could be... I see some pro players be really aggressive when they, you know, swipe their mouse and slam it back on the mouse pad to be center. Some of them are pretty aggressive, so they could break their mice as well.
But it's a mango. Barely has enough now to turn back around. I appreciate how aggressive Aurora is being up at this top lane. They're really just not allowing these two to feel comfortable on the side of Kukuys, and I mean, that's the way they play with the Visage early on. Just keep going at them.
Yeah, that's all you need. Just constant pressure coming in. Again, this time around, Q is actually just camping lane as well. He's still going for the Mind Flares, but he's looking for angles to set up, to apply pressure for jabs. So it's a little bit more active in this lane for the Nyx, which is something you like to see. The bot lane has still been a little bit back and forth. I mean, outside of that kill, Cox has managed to start getting back into the farm game at the least. He's building up. And again, there's this nice threat that's very easy to connect as we get another... What's wrong with your mouse, Armel? Come on, brother.
Well, what's it need to disconnect for if it's his mouse? I've never had to disconnect if my mouse... You know what? I've never had a mouse issue, John, I'll be honest. Right? What's that? What is it, John?
Oh,
what?
You say Joel's saying he's grabbing some rice. Extra
What is
rice.
it with you? Why do you guys just eat rice nonstop?
Because we do. What do you mean? It's nice, cheap sustenance. It's a key part of the Filipino diet.
I only bring it
And
up
Palos
because...
is saying still eating while it's still in game. Full of himself.
And here we go. Now Bart's talking about rice. That's this is the thing, and people are gonna think I'm having like some racial connotation. I'm not. The reason why I'm bringing rice up here is because every time John X Fire and I go out to eat when we're on LAN, if the restaurant doesn't have rice, he will be very upset. He'll never shut up about the fact that they don't offer rice. And to give you an example of that, we go to McDonald's, he gets upset that they don't offer rice. Like, John, it's a burger chain, John. It's not meant to offer rice.
Not in Southeast Asia. Look, they had one great pad kapow chicken in Thailand. Specifically, it was Thailand. I was really disappointed because I had that great chicken the first night, Mike. They never had it again. They had the plain chicken. It didn't come with a sauce, and it didn't come with a rice. You know, it's just incomplete, Mike. It's incomplete.
Can I be honest? Could I be honest? And I feel kind of embarrassed saying this. But that one night where you did have that dish, that what do you call it? Something kapow? Or what? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's supposed to be pad kapow chicken. Yeah.
Pad kapow. Okay. Well, the one night you did have it and you really enjoyed it, and the next night we were ordering food and they didn't offer the rice and the sauce.
Yeah.
I never admitted it, but I was genuinely so happy. I was so happy. Because it just annoys me that every time we order food, you have to get rice. And so when they didn't offer rice anymore, I was genuinely so happy. I don't know. It just tickled me, you know, John. It gave me a little boost. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I understand there's not a lot in life to make you happy, Mike, outside of other people's suffering. I do want to let you know there is a country of 110 million people that agree with what I do. There's a region of about 1 billion people. I believe it is around 1 billion people in Southeast Asia that would agree with me as well, Mike LaPhoenix. This is rice country you're casting in. You're not going to find any sympathizers for the potato lovers here.
Potatoes
we love
are
our
easier
French
to grow
fries.
too, John. You guys are wasting time. Potatoes are easier to grow.
Look, we love our French fries. We have a potato corner in almost every corner. We love those fries. Would we replace our rice dishes with fries? No. Pad kapow with fries? That's sacrilege. That's pissing me off right now, thinking about pad kapow with French fries. That's not right, Mike LaFourche. It's wrong. It's bad and it's
I just
wrong.
want to make it clear as well. Potato corner sucks. I don't enjoy it at all.
Have you had it?
Yeah.
Have we?
Didn't like it.
You don't like flavor in your fries? You don't like the shaker fries?
It's not
Oh.
good flavor.
Wow.
They don't have good
it's
flavor.
too
I'm just
good
gonna
for the
say.
Australian palate. Oh, I'm sorry that the third world country doesn't provide the flavors that you would experience in Australia, Mike. We're going deep in this one. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fairness, they were paused for that long. Q's just checked. Maybe Q's mouse is broken. He's still chasing Ponyo. Eventually does back off. So Arbed gonna have a bit of contest here with Ponyo over the water rune. Does manage to get it on the Phoenix, but Ponyo may have just sacrificed himself for this, and he does. It's a bit unfortunate for Ponyo.
That it is. A strong 3-0 start for Aurora. And taking away the water rune isn't even that important either up against the Invoker. It's not like a big deal for Abed to try to top up a bottle. He doesn't care. He's got his double rate bands up. Roll from Armel also falls flat, so no aggressive play on top. And This is when the Invoker really starts to dish the damage. Double Wraith Band, even just a Glove of Haste up, level 5, level 3 on the Quas. Lots of sustain for right-click trades. And there's no sign of relief coming out here from Kukuys anytime soon. Maybe you can get some movement out from Joel, but even our Lion's still stuck at level 2 himself. After a little bit of a slower time down bot. They're still trying to pressure mid.
Yeah, and Ponyo's trying to get a D-ward off here, but it may cost him his life if he's not too cautious, but looks like he has Icarus Dive. He'll commit and be off on his way. He's really just trying to get that Observer Ward in the mid lane, but he's not really going to get there, and sadly for him, it is expiring in 35 seconds, so chances are he's never going to get it in time. Meanwhile, Q, though, has been rolled on by Armel, and it seems like Q probably will fall, though he'll try to make it as hard as possible to kill him off, but Armel gets him anyway.
Nice little consolation prize for the side of Kukuys to find. This free space is providing some leeway for a bot to at least keep up and farm. Like the solo pressure onto Dusa from a Visage isn't really there, especially as we're at level 5 now, so there's a lot more to play with here for a bot. They're still keeping a lot of emphasis on mid, especially from Kukuys. They're still keeping Ponyo around. Again, you can't really do much anyhow in the Dusa lane. You might as well make yourself useful elsewhere. Nice Invis rune for Armel. Might lead to some rotations into other sides of the map. I believe some opportunities could present itself down bot. You have, again, some decent damage from Cox, but just doesn't feel like Armel's that comfy, at least until magnetizing again.
Arbet's not too comfy right now. John Armel looking very comfortable as they make the jump in. Arbet, though, still alive, and a nice impale from Q is going to put an end to all of it as now the rotations are in. Jab's chasing down Ponyo. Arbed still does go down. Armel able to get the kill with the magnetize. But Armel now needing his own way out of here. It looks like he is going to be okay to retreat. But my goodness, just the rotations real quick to ensure that they got some form of a trade. So a mid-invoker for the support duo of Kukuys, not really too bad either way. And the invoker kill, I believe Arbed was well and truly out of range for the XP, so you don't really get too much out of that kill.
Not the best in terms of trying to snowball more, but you'll take what you can get on Armel. Just a little bit more gold to play with. Yeah, equalizes with the Invoker in terms of net worth. Does catapult him into number 2, tied in with a bot. And kind of keeps the game at an even haul. Considering, again, how topsy-turvy this laning phase has been. 5-2 start. Aurora, again, not looking too shabby. Most of this gold early on is going on to jabs. As that early timing with the drums up, so the Filmmakers will do a lot of work once they're allowed to focus onto an objective. And for the Kukuys, they're not looking to play too aggressive. Or, we're not going to be seeing anything like a gate rotation out from a bot. The Deuce is probably one of the worst heroes to try to go for a gate rotation anyhow. But it is a lot more passive from that safe lane. And Armel is still trying to work into that blade mail anyhow. So as long as this game is passive on the safe lanes, Palos is going to be chuffed enough to just sit back and farm. He is going for the more aggressive Orchid buildup on the Spectre, so he does want to join in for these early fights rather than going for something like the Blade Mill for farm. We do get the disconnect from Cox, so we will get another pause.
Oh. Yeah, these guys.
You know what it is? No, you know what it is? Armel grabbed some rice a while ago. It's Cox's turn to go to the rice cooker. Grab some rice himself. Great. It's great. They're hungry boys, hungry.
Well, they can win first, John. Winners deserve to eat. Only winners. Well, why even eat if you're not winning?
Well, now that's one way to go on a diet. I don't think it's worked for any of our pro players yet, just fortunately.
Thank you, Palos. Palos is asking the real questions here.
Okay, internet issues for good old Fox. Fair enough.
That's all right. That one we can forgive.
Yeah. It is the Philippines. Wait. Palos is saying he thought he was checking if it was even. What do you mean even?
Even?
Oh, even, yes.
Oh.
Don't trash talk him already. He's already ugly, says Ormel.
Oh.
No need to trash talk on Fox.
Nobody's safe from Armel today, not even his own teammates. Armel's just having a great day.
Yeah. It's like he's on fire. firing all the shots, Mikey. He's had his rice, all right? He's energized. He grabbed his rice a while ago.
Is there? There's not. Rice isn't that nutritious, is it, John?
Just like potatoes aren't.
No, they are. They are. That's a myth. Potatoes are actually very nutritious.
Sure.
That's a myth.
All right. Fair enough.
Why do you get upset that potatoes are more nutritious than rice, John? Why does that bother you?
I mean, they're just starchy, carby sources of carbs, mainly. I mean, there's probably more trace nutrients, sure. They're all just carbs. They're still not the ideal. They're nice, cheap energy. That's what they are. Cheap energy.
Well, they used to be cheap. Not these days, Jonathan, I'll tell you.
Maybe not in Australia, Mikey. Maybe not in Australia.
Well, they're John, like, Australia's gone crazy. I mean, obviously, as you know, we use the Australian pesos in Australia, Jonathan, and I'll tell you what, it's kind of ridiculous now. Like, I went to the shops the other day to order a bag of potatoes. It was literally like a 2-kilo bag, and it cost me like, I didn't pay for it, I should say, but it was like $10. It's like 2 kilos of potatoes for $10. How crazy is that?
10 Australian dollars. Let me get some perspective here. I'm trying to figure out it. You know what? For some reason, that's not. Wait, you know what? I don't even know the price of potatoes in the Philippines, so I can't even say.
Oh,
It doesn't sound the worst thing in the world. To be fair,
it's bad. It's really bad. Like 2 kilos, John, for $10. That's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
I'm not sure. I don't shop for potatoes, Mike. When I buy potatoes, it's like maybe 100 grams each time, or 200 grams each time. Just like four tiny potatoes. We don't chomp down on potatoes like you do, unless I make like mashed potatoes sometimes. Then it's like maybe a kilo or so. We don't buy that many potatoes, Mikey. We buy sacks of rice, although not really. We get shirataki rice in the house, or brown rice, black rice. That's pretty good. That's a little bit more
shirataki rice. Well, what's shirataki rice?
It's stuff shaped in rice. So it's
what?
It's low carb.
Oh,
It's low carb rice. It's not bad. The wet shirataki rice is pretty bad. It's really chewy. The dry stuff has rice flour, so it's not fully low carb, but it's a lot more palatable. And that's what we go for. Pretty nice.
Sounds it. We do have the go when ready. I was being sarcastic in case that wasn't obvious, John, by the way. Doesn't sound very nice.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It has a little bit more bounce in the rice, but it's not too bad, you know? It's enjoyable enough. It's not as sweet as plain old white rice, but you know what is sweet is the fact that we do have the game back. It's been 8 minutes. It feels like we've been in pause for at least 10. So there is that factor to consider as well. 5-2, 1K lead still standing for Aurora. Again, most of this farm hanging on Jabs, who's really had a free time up top. Again, has the drums going for the Aura build-up into the pipe, and is set to kind of just get to that point nicely. They haven't been able to really pressure out Palos too hard either on this Spectre. He's just been free to hang down bot. And we are still a ways until Q starts to hit level 6, but again, once you have that Vendetta scuttle around with the Shadow Step, things start to get a little bit spicy for Aurora. The pace should kick into full gear at that point. It's just a matter of hitting that point, which, again, it's felt like 19 minutes, but the game has only been on for 9, so yeah, we're not quite at that point yet. They do have quick shove, of course, with Ollie around with a Nether Blast. A bot.
Maybe getting a bit too far forward. Going to be caught with his pants down and immediately bursted down by Q. Ponyo will be following him very soon to the graveyard. And Jewel will also go as Q will pick up a double kill on the Nyx Assassin of all people. And of course the mid-tier, rather top tier 1 tower not going to be surviving. So we'll be taken down quite quickly here by Aurora.
Yeah, they get the connections they'd want. They finally get some utilization out from the Shadow Step as well. And for the side of the Kukuys, there's no presence yet. The Cox is not going to be rotating around just yet until maybe the Kai is up. At least has some form of mana sustain with a full Arcane Boots up, but still a ways off from that quick timing where the Timbersaw can rip Heroes to shreds. Armel also still looking for that full Blade Mail, so no one really set to go Again, in stark comparison to Jabs, just with the drums, this Visage is willing to put in the damage. You've got output on Ollie. You've got some save potential coming in from Aurora. You have that early tier 1 advantage, so they can start to dip a little bit into that top jungle if they so wish. They are setting their sights onto mid. And this siege does not take long. With Visage and Pugna, the objectives will just melt. You don't have the best defense here on the side of Kukuys.
A Jewel, mid lane, being caught out here. Palos right on top. Will find a quick line kill. They did clip Armel with a tornado, but it won't matter. They just want the mid-tier 1 tower, and man, Aurora, they are playing very fast this game around. No messing around from these boys. All 3 cores at the top of the net worth board, and they are right into that mid-tier 1.
And again, you just don't have anyone that can come in and help you out. Like, Cox isn't ready to try to make plays. Armel missed a roll a while ago. Doesn't really have an opportunity to try to kick back. The tier 1 will stay alive for a little bit longer at the very least. But they really aren't finding the aggressive angles they'd want to here on Kukuys. 9-2, 2k up for Aurora. They're getting some decent forward vision as well. They've got all the sentries to try to protect some Nyx rotations down the line. They've got level 6 up on Q. Vendetta's ready. Shadow Step not too far off the cooldown, so another play could come in. And it just goes back to what we were talking about with this kind of draft coming out for Aurora. They can always just play this hit and run style. A bit of a smoke out from the Kukuys though. They've got level 6 as well on Joel. So they could look for a quick little burst with a finger play. Just a matter of finding a target. No one showing up where they set vision. And no one dipping into this area anytime soon. This is the only part of the map they have forward vision on. So someone needs to kind of step out.
Arbed. Smoke broken. Armel gonna just go right through, but actually misses out. EMP actually landing as well on Jewel, so Palos will happily jump in. You can't underestimate how quick that Shadow Step can come in. Like, it's a very low cooldown. And every time Palos sees the opportunity, he'll take it.
And he will. A little bit unfortunate for Armel. That's like 2 out of 2 rolls now that he just hasn't been able to connect. And that does provide enough spacing to clear out the mid, opening up, again, deeper reach for the side of Aurora. Q still hanging around in that Vendetta as well. Doesn't have the backing of the Shadow Step, still half a minute away. But you already did the damage anyhow. 10-2, 2k lead. And Kukuy is just looking a little bit lost. Again, still needing much more on Cox, but at least with Akaya, his damage is starting to get in there. One saving grace as well is that a bot's been left alone on the Dusa. So the Manta style, it's not too far off. You've got the Diadem, you've got the Yasha already up. And just about 600 gold for the full Manta recipe is going to be nice. The issue is if this is going to even be a good game for a bot. Because again, there's EMP on hand. There's a lot of ways to just drain the mana of this Dusa. Whether or not this investment will pay off it remains to be seen. And I think just this early tempo loss for Kukuys does not feel great. You've got an Earth Spirit who really hasn't had too much impact. He's not been able to get rotations off. You've had a Timberstar who's been happy to soak up space, but not really create space by virtue of his presence. You haven't slowed down any of the cores on the side of Aurora. You've got the full Orchid up for Palace on the next Shadow Step, which is up. They just need to kind of find a target. And again, Vendetta's ready on Q. Like, if they get a sneaky movement out, maybe catch out a bot, this game goes sideways, even more sideways, right quick for Kukuys if they're not careful.
I mean, I think, the thing is, the one saving grace right now is the fact that Abad and Cox have literally just been missing off the map farming. So I guess the game plan from Kukuys is to just play very slow, ignore what's happening on the map right now, have faith in their draft going into the mid to late game. Aurora, on the other hand, not agreeing with that style of plan, do smoke up and head through the dire triangle right towards Armel, who roll right into them almost. Pops a Magnetize, I believe it misses it. And Armel is dead. Nothing to save him.
No. And it's been a rough game for Armel. Whiffing some spells. It's been a little bit hard for him to get some good position out. Managed to transition into an objective again. All tier 1's gone now for the side of Kukuys very early on. 3k lead coming in. And all things considered, losing the Earth Spirit is probably not the worst in the world as long as it's not a bot. The issue is eventually they will be able to make a play onto this Dusa. They've got the wards to kind of watch top. They haven't been able to really snipe out a bot. At the least, Abat does have his Manta up. He's just going to go straight for another null, maybe just straight into the butterfly as well. To have some of his damage output ready. And we just need to see these parts start to connect. We do have the levels up. We haven't seen the finger yet.
Roll's going to connect on Abed. This would be a big pick if they can get it on Abed. In a very rare kind of bad position for himself, as the rest of the squad were too far away to try and help. That's a pretty big pick-off, and Cox will take it.
Yeah, very impactful that they finally get finger kill. They still have the egg ready to go from Ponyo. And you're ready to roll on the Timb with that Kai. Not too far off from his own save in the Yules on top of things. And that is equalizing. I mean, that's a 1k swing back the way of Kukuys, just off of one pick-off. Yeah, they're not too far behind. The kill score looks atrocious, but in terms of farm pace, you're really not doing too bad here on Kukuys. You're still buying this free space for a bot. And the Dusa is, again, still set for this nice timing into Butterfly. Still, they'll try to smoke on Aurora. Again, they've got Shadow Step ready. They've got Vendetta on hand from Q, although it is fading. And only the smoke to really guide him at this point, but they just need to find one exposed hero. Maybe if they find someone in that higher jungle, but they don't really dip in there. Abat's still in a bit of a dangerous spot, though.
He is. Then Abat's the one moving forward. Gets a quick D ward, and that'll be about it for him. Q will jump in for a quick stun, but it doesn't mean too much. Again, I wonder how concerned Aurora are about the fact that Abat's still just freely farming. Like, yeah, you've got the Spectre, but I don't think the Spectre's going to be quite as comparable as, say, the Medusa once you hit the later stages. Yeah, I mean, he's just continuing to complete free farm here, this Medusa. No real stress whatsoever. Like, sure, you've picked off Armel about 1 billion times, but... Well, I say 1 billion times, he died once. It's Q. Gonna jump in. They'll try to hunt down this lion, but there's a lot of heroes around here. Q's still trying to burst him down. Does get him, but gives up his own line. Interesting kind of play from Q to try for that, even though like there was quite a few heroes around to ensure he would die afterwards.
I think they were just banking on a little bit more from perhaps the Shadow Step. They did manage to bait out some spells, right? Supernova's committed. No need to worry about that in the next team fight. And you do manage to at least be a little bit disruptive, although it is a bit hasty. Your lead is basically gone now on Aurora, 13-4, but only a 1k lead. Abat now number 1 in that fort, eclipsing everyone else, has his Eagle Song up. Butterfly 2 parts away. A little bit more time necessary, but he is starting to dish some damage now whenever he is allowed to just kind of sit there and get some right clicks off. And for Aurora, I get the confidence in going into the late game up against Dusa. I just feel like it's one easy fix for a bot. Like, he just needs to find himself really good Manta timing off the EMP, or just a BKB and be done with it. Still openings for Aurora into the Roshan. Not the quickest Rosh in the world, mind you, but they have the damage and space for it. At the very least, don't need to worry about any sort of shenanigans out from the Kukuys. They're going to have that secondary life ready for Palos early on, or Abed if they so wish. And for the Kukuys, it's just a matter of a turtle game. Sit back, keep farming up on this Dusa. Try to also just get bigger on Cox so that he's as durable as possible going into the full Eternal Shroud next, which is going to put a big stop to the burst damage that Aurora has. So your team can actually frontline at that point, and you can actually start to play the game. Lots of patience out from Kukuys, but and you're not really getting a lead on Aurora. Like, yes, you're finding objectives, yes, you're finding some pickoffs, but net worth just isn't quite swinging your way yet. They need more here on Aurora, and I don't know if they set up fully for it. Like, again, they had some forward wards a while ago. They don't quite have that vision reach right now. They've not been able to really get as much from the Vendetta, although this could be big if they make a move onto a bot.
See him. Abat completely alone right now. His team actually on the other side of the map, so jump in is there in Abat. He is melting quick with that mana pool. And no way will he survive. It's the perfect timing as well, because the rest of the four were just smoked up at the top lane trying to find somebody else. But Abat just staying very far out of position. Will get caught very quickly here against the Nyx Assassin. And now, I mean, even the Dire Tormentor is stolen by the looks of it.
Got the space for it on the side of Aurora. A bit of a mistake from a bot, like not really respecting, say, the Orchid timing or the Nyx scouting around. Uses the Manta, and that's just the opening they need on Aurora. Very patient out from Q and Palos. And that does allow them to drag the lead back their way. 2k up now. You're still up ahead on a bot, but that kill does set you back a fair bit. And again, the tempo, despite it being a very slow game, is certainly on the side of Aurora. They got a nice deep ward watching by that Torm as well. For some far forward forays if they want to do that later on. Whereas the side of Kukuys, I mean, at some point this farm game has to stop. Like, even it's fine for a bot. I just feel like you do want some activity out from Armel and from Cox. You've got the double Eternal Shrouds up in these two cores. You've got your damage spikes up. You've got your level 2 ultimates up. You're close to your level 15 talents as well. At the very least for Armel, you're kind of close. You already have it for Cox. So, it should be the moment where you should be gunning for more and giving more space out to the Dusa somehow. It's just not quite there.
So they're going to find another Ponyo to go down. Q may die for this, but he'll take it. It's feeding more and more kills back the way of his Spectre. Things still very good for Aurora. I mean, they're 3k ahead. It's still a matter of, like, are you worried about a Bart? Because a Bart's now got a full butterfly up and he's going into the Scarting next. You did see him die just earlier on, but his farm is still pretty damn high. I'm just wondering whether they're going to have what it takes to deal with the Medusa in, say, 10 minutes or so. You've got a Bloodthorn to come out on Palos, but I don't, like, yeah, you'll get the True Strike going for yourself, but apart from that, I'm still questioning whether a Bart's actually going to be dealt with in a proper 5v5. Like, we haven't really seen that yet with the Medusa.
I think it's all down to how well a bot uses his one defensive item in the Manta. As long as he's able to Manta off the Bloodthorn or at least Manta dodge EMP, you're fairly happy in these kinds of engagements for that Dusa. So it's really down to how well can you entrap here from Aurora. They'll try to smoke out on the side of Kukuys. They do have some forward wards in triangle, but no one's really showing up. Might still be able to get a good jump out onto Palos if he's not too careful here. But the scan actually does connect late.
Oh, Jewel with the Glimmer Cape going to get in range for the Hex. TPs are incoming to try and help out. Palos is still alive, but it doesn't look like he's alive for too long. He will actually heal up just a little bit. Still going here is the Spectre. Somehow still not dying. He'll get 4-staffed away. They can't finish him. Oh no, they can't finish him. Abart though, still healthy. Going after Arbit. Will take down the Aegis at the very least. But now Abart dropping low on mana. Zarbit gonna respawn, wants to go back in for the fight. They'll burst down Q, but still, Abart, can he be dealt with? Arbit looks to back off now as they do lock him down. Meanwhile, Cox looking for a little bit more, but they'll turn back towards the Invoker, who does get 4-staffed once again, and will make it out. It's Palos thinking about going back in with the Orchid up, but Cox, he will chain out of there. Do they want to try again? When Abart is less than half mana, but I don't think they're feeling... Oh, that's a nice Sunstrike. That's a nice Sunstrike. Armel getting caught with that one. Palos still chasing for more. Looks towards Cox, but Cox is not an easy target. So instead they'll try again for Abart with the Cold Snap. Tornado will not land this time. Abart's still playing with fire, but he's caught in this EMP now with no mana left. Surely he goes down. Here comes that life drain, or rather mana drain. It's not going to provide too much, but it keeps him alive for now as a Bart, completely out of mana again. Where's that mana drain? Where is it? There it is, John. Look at it. It's gone. See you, boys.
It's such a topsy-turvy set of fights for Kukuys. Again, they just don't have enough upfront damage to deal with Palos. Same thing kind of goes for trying to deal with a bot. Like, he is fairly tanky now with just the Manta Butterfly. Palos wants to go ahead without jabs, which is, I guess, fair enough. You know, it is what it is sometimes. You just want to keep going. But I feel like your damage issues on the side of Kukuys are a little bit harder to repair than it is for Aurora, because we're seeing what happens. Again, you launch an EMP, a bot just becomes a sitting duck. There's a lot to have to be concerned about here on the Dusa. A bot is going to try to course correct with damage by going into the full Daedalus. At least that will start to help things go a little bit smoother here. I don't know if you'd really want to try to go for a break source as well if you're trying to make that jump onto Palos. Almost feels necessary. No one answering our admin, and we just get the go-ahead. So,
Excellent.
no one wanting to tell why the pause happened, but it is what it is. Poor old Barry.
It happens to the best of us. It's all right. So does that. Palos will go... Oh, sorry. Ponyo will go down. Palos to secure the kill. Mel is able to roll out. Aurora's still trying to get aggressive. They'll get a tier 2 tower up at the top lane. In fact, they'll even dust up Jewel, but they didn't quite catch him. Jewel trying to get out, but no, the impal's out from Q. Very nice. And so they will secure a tier 2 top tower eventually. Not quite enough, I don't think, yet to think about high ground, though. I think you're still at that stage of the game where you've got to leave that for another time, because you are still up against the Medusa high ground, so it's not going to be very fun trying to approach.
No, certainly not. A little bit curious about this build-up on a bot as well. He does opt for the Diffusal Blade into the full Disperser. So not going for anything like the Daedalus, wanting something to just kind of give himself another secondary Dispel on hand, just to try to run away. Nice move speed bonus to get his position right, which is very key for the Deuce in this game, of course. You are starting to slip away though, 20-6, 6k lead for Aurora. At 26 minutes in, a nice impactful lead. All of that farm now just sinking into a bot, and none of it being shared with Armel or Cox. So it has been a tough game for good old Armel, but even for Cox, like, his impact has been a little bit of a mixed bag. Damage has not been consistent enough. This Scotty, or rather this Shiva's pickup, will be something that helps speed the process up when they do decide to commit. We'll just have to see if it's going to be enough. I just feel like Aurora's been able to dictate a little bit too much in the past few fights. Again, you're still having a great time on a bot, considering this farm. He, for some reason, was queuing up another butterfly, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't quite want, but he might be feeling frisky today. We'll just stick to that Disperser. What I would like to see for a bot is just Disperser into Daedalus, or if he wants defensive, like, it has to be a BKB game. If he really wants to just stand there like a turret, into off this control into the EMP threats, like, it has to be something like that if he's not willing to kind of just go full glass cannon damage. So I'm curious to see what his mindset is after this Disperser. Or again, more than happy to just play this kind of game as well. You've got a Spectre to scale, you've got Invoker who is scaling into right click for Abed. With the Mage Slayer and the Hurricane Pike already a nuisance enough, is going to have a Mantis Style on top with an Octarine set to come out with it. And his spell spam is going to be the bane of the side of the Kukuys. You just don't have a stable way of jumping in and preventing all of those spellcasts from coming out. Like, Joel doesn't have a blink, isn't queuing up a blink, hasn't had room to farm up a blink. Counting on Armel to jump in is also just tricky. It's been a tough game for the Earth Spirit overall. And that is leading to this rather awkward timing for the side of the Kukuys right now. Still, Roche is going to be back up. You've got control in the pit from Aurora. So you could opt for a nice quick Roshan for yourselves. They've got a nice forward ward watching right in that top jungle area right below, right across the ramp at least, to watch for any movement in. They haven't quite scouted Roche yet though. Maybe not expecting it to be that fast. But there is more objectives to play for. I'm just surprised that despite all of this, back and forth, despite all the kills, the advantage has been, again, shrinking down from 6k to 5k to 4k again. Like, despite all of that, you are still farming fairly well in Kukuys. It's just really hard to amount that to much just yet. We'll see if they can sneak in with a smoke. They could get lucky and get a smoke into Roshan. That could kind of swing things their way again.
We do have a Shadow Step in, but a Shadow Step right back out as well. Smoke's still here from Kukuys. Aurora will counter smoke. It seems like they're very well aware that this is coming. Roshan is now available. It does not seem like Kukuys feel comfortable starting it yet, as the Sunstrike will give vision of Armel scouting out the pit. The Bart will take care of that top tier 1 tower, and maybe now they'll start. And they will.
And they've got decent damage out. They've got the Disperser running, a lot of Agi up on a bot. They've got some room. Again, they've got some wards to protect. Sunstrikes are giving constant vision. And the scan actually falls flat. They're taking the left flank here. And they're still starting to come in. See how they take this positional fight, though.
He's going to hunt around. There are sentries here, so he does have to be a little bit cautious with where he goes. It's like a bot did run into Jabs there for a second. Q going to show himself now underneath the sentry ward. But all of the side of Kukuys just go right through the twin gates, expecting Roshan to follow them. And the matter is as to whether Aurora are going to be able to get there now to contest this Roshan again. And of course, they'll just TP down to the bottom tier 2. They know they can't use the twin gates here. And so in we go again. Roshan will once again begin. Roshan will roar to make it obvious. Jabs, he's got the familiars to try and scout out. Roshan dropping pretty low now. Aurora don't really have too much time to think about this. They've got to make their move very soon. I bet he'll make his move in. Cox, he will be the target, but he's okay with that Eternal Shroud up. Meanwhile, Stonegaze also popped as they'll try to rush Roshan, and they do. Aegis now on a bot as Palos forced to just jaunt out of there. Q, he does get caught. Nyx Assassin is down. Meanwhile, Aurora, looking to run away from this Phoenix Egg, will make it outside of range. Jabs having to go into that Stone Form to survive this Abat damage output, but he might just be left behind as they don't seem to be able to really stick around to help him out. He's still just trying to get out of here, but Jabs surely set to fall. Ollie does also go down, and suddenly Kukuys is looking very strong as they have also found out Palos. This is the big kill. This is the one they really wanted, and I think they've got it.
Oh, Lord.
He's got no way out. Palos is down. Oh, boy. Aurora. Just dropping the ball, aren't they, Jonathan?
That they are. It felt like they had a good idea as to how to take this Roche fight, right? We've been harping on about stuff like EMP coming. You don't have anything defensive on a bot. You just need to kind of have an angle in and kind of be patient with the Manta style usage and kind of watch out for that to make this Dusa a sitting duck, but their angles just aren't clean. It looked a little bit wonky from the Kukuys as well, right? Like the egg from Ponyo, not the ideal, only helping to clear out Q, really, but it's enough. It's such a scattered fight, such a split apart fight that you don't have a clear way of isolating away a bot that time around. That's kind of where Kukuys kind of shines. Just a very disfigured fight. That's what they'd want. A very chaotic fight that just allows them to pick you off one by one if you're not able to fully commit onto something like a bot. And speaking of a bot, he is going into damage now. Again, he's got that full disperser. He's going into the full Daedalus. His output is set to skyrocket. And he's felt untouchable in the last like 10 to 15 minutes at this point. Going for all the tier 2s now. One more outer tower to fall. Only one tier 2 left. Looks like a bot will want to clear it, but Creep Wave is shoved out up top with that Forge Spirit up. So not going to be able to get so much more.
They're trying. Sunstrike actually lands on Jules, so Abed managed to pick one off. But now he's in trouble. Q is behind to try and help out though. Ponyo does get caught. Will not go down though now as Armel does roll in looking for Q, but Q is out of range now. In fact, I don't know if they really want this fight. Kukuys is forced to egg up and try to escape. They were trying to move onto the high ground of the triangle. Abat just brought out a Daedalus, by the way, so interesting spike for him on the Medusa now as they will move in once again, seeing Palos. It's a great target to try and aim down. Problem is the Deafening Blast landing on 3 targets to make it very hard to keep this fight going. But now the Stone Gaze is out from Abat, he wants to keep the fight up. They'll chase down Palos once again, but Cox is the one in trouble. Oof. He's still alive though. He might make it out. Cox will survive another day. He'll chain out of there. Sunstrike. Oof. Oh, it won't land. Abed just off the mark. A nice attempt. Palos desperately trying to run, but now the chase is on from Kukuys trying to find at least Jabs. Jabs will get caught. Jabs is down. Abed needing to run will cancel the role of Armel. But another great fight here for the Dire as they force 2 buybacks from the supports of Aurora. And these team fights, they're just looking more and more challenging for this Aurora side to take.
And it is. And again, even if a bot starts to drop low, it just feels like there's too much havoc coming in from the tanky heroes up front to provide some buffer zones for a bot to just keep hitting away. Like trying to blow up Cox at this point is really difficult. Blowing up Armel now is also just very, very difficult to find any of these heroes falling apart. And it's just down to the itemization. These Eternal Shrouds are keeping them alive for a lot longer. You have maybe a lot more armor, of course, on Cox, but even the durability of Armel, it's nothing to scoff at. And there's just so much space for a bot to actually just dance in and out, get some hits off. You still have this Lion that can drain you up as well, so the reset doesn't take as long for the Medusa to keep going. And that's the last outer tower gone. And I like this from a bot. He is just going back for the BKB. As the Daedalus just wants one more survivability item to bail him out if the Manta's down. The BKB is going to do a ton of work here in terms of just allowing the Medusa to just freely play this game. 21-13, 9k lead for the Kukuys and Aurora. There's no second chances here, Mike. If they don't manage to swing things back their way, if they don't manage to get this hit and run tactic back online with Palos playing with a Shadow Step, then that's it. You're already one game down in a best of 3. You're in the lower bracket. There's not much zone for forgiveness here, Mikey.
There is absolutely not, John. Kukuys now gonna head through the mid lane. Aegis will expire on a bot though, so maybe time to retreat. Wait for the next Roshan. Thing is, a bot is he's just an absolute menace on this Medusa. Like, look at his farm compared to everyone else. It's just huge. And they're still gonna try for at least the tier 3 top. At least force a glyph maybe, as they do have the Roshan banner still. That'll make life a lot easier with this double siege creep wave. So tier 3 tower gonna drop. We'll see if they want to continue committing. They'll start to chip away with the EMP at the mana pool of Abad. In fact, they'll jump all in, try to go after Abad. Abad out of mana still. Can he survive through this? It doesn't seem like it. He's down. They do at least get jabs, but they need to leave. They've lost their Medusa. It's a massive kill here for Aurora. As Cox, having his chain cancelled with that cold snap. Armel rather, going to move back in. Does take down Q. They'll drop the egg, create some space now as they'll find a 2-for-1. They are still trying to Rax without their Medusa up. It doesn't look like the greatest idea here for Kukuys, but they're feeling it right now. They feel like they can do it. But I think eventually you might just need to let this one go. They don't want to waste the Roshan banner. I mean, they are keeping the siege creep alive, so it is slowly but surely getting the job done. Still trying for Cox, but Cox is just so damn tanky. They'll cancel his chains again. Can they actually get him? The answer is no. He's alright to get out. But they already got the big one. They found the Medusa. They kind of proved that she's actually killable. And so now Aurora, at least not even one Rax down yet. Just a tier 3 tower down.
I'm just surprised Aurora opted to fortify in the last bit of that extended fight. So on the respawn of a bot, there's maybe a little bit of a window where if you win a team fight, you can still push.
They're looking for Palos. They won't find him though. In fact, now the cavalry is incoming from the back though. Ollie getting blown up. Oh, that's a big stun. That's a huge stun from Jewel. 3 heroes getting caught with that one. Abed is down. Ollie is down. Jabs is probably down. And Abad is back up. Uh-oh. I actually don't think you can kill a bot without Abed up. Like, that EMP is doing so much work.
No.
And without Abed here, without buyback, this could be at least 2 lanes of barracks.
It is. Again, it kind of goes back to this decision as well to fortify in that fight. You only had a Tirmidor pushing in with Earth Spirit. There was no need to fortify. There was no way that push was going anywhere else. And now you have to kind of face the consequence of it. They will have fortify back up with the racks at least refreshing. So there is that at the very least. But here goes the bot again. Still don't want to call it. Still don't want to call it. Paula says, wait for it. Wait for it. It's almost coming. Come on.
Oh, I like this from a bot. I like this from a bot. I mean, these boys have been trash talking all day. And you know what? John, they've backed it up.
Yeah.
I said earlier in game 1, can Armel back up all this trash talk? Turns out he didn't need to back it up, John. Turns out he'll just 2-0 them.
Yeah, a bot saying now, what's going to happen, Palos, you know? Well, what's going to happen to you, man? You know?
Righto. Aurora management, time to call Savage up. Where's Savage? Is he free yet? Well, they've caught Jewel. at least. Jules gonna buy back. Jabs just backing off as Abat wanting to go for the racks. Will be able to get it quite easily. Mega creeps up now. Aurora backs against the wall. They're going to have to try one last time here. Jabs, he does get the force up on the high ground. Cox trying to go right after the Pugner. Won't find him yet. They'll look towards Palos now. Palos getting caught by a stun. He's in big trouble. They'll decrepify up the Spectre. Life Drain will keep him alive. Meanwhile, the fight continues. Cox now being targeted once again, but he's just so tanky. Can they deal with him? No, they cannot. He'll chain out of there. As Armel keeping the magnetize up and Jewel with the finger. Mega creeps available. Aurora. How do you make this comeback happen, I wonder?
It's a hard one to see. It's a little bit more reliant on the side of the Kukuys misstepping here somehow, which, to be fair, there's always an opportunity to throw. It is Dota 2. One small mistake can lead to a lot of negative consequences. It's just when you're 20k ahead, when your full mega creeps up with still tier 2 standing on your side, it is hard to see that swing back. Roshan is up as well, a safe objective for the side of the Kukuys to go for, and they are kind of setting up for it as well. Already in position with Joel. Don't quite have the wards to back it up, but they do have at least have the cliff ward in the middle area of that bot jungle. They can keep an eye on potential counterplay into that area. I think there's a couple of things that feel like kind of complicated that early spike we were talking about the Aurora lineup having, right? Like, the rotations out from Q were fine. It was a little bit hard to back it up. You were getting some good smoke breaks. You were only really finding probably Armel. He couldn't really gap close onto a bot. But I think one big thing as well is that the buildup of jabs, like, it's very heavy on the aura, right? It leads into these wider team fights that really never came out. Right, like they were counting on maybe wider 5v5s being forced from the side of the Kukuys with this kind of aura play. You never really saw it. So the impact of the pipe when it was freshly bought wasn't fully felt. The drums were still useful for the push at least, but didn't really help as well in, again, trying to rip a hero apart because the Kukuys never gave that opportunity. And now with a secondary life on a bot, they're looking to knock on those tier 4s. They don't want to mess around any longer in Kukuys. One game away from advancing into the next round of the lower bracket up against Aurora. I don't think anyone would have had this on their wish list here.
That really doesn't feel like it. Here we go. Kukuys showing us they were the favorites all along apparently in this series. Well, but out of mana, has the Aegis up, won't mind too much. He'll just pop the Stone Gaze and taunt them as they run away. Ponyo, however, he went in deep. They want to go for more. They've blown up the Aegis. That's one life. Maybe this is the fight that Aurora needs to force us to a game 3 unless they lose Palos. And they just may. Palos, he jukes them out for now. But the chase is on. Abat wants the kill and he'll get it. No Palos buyback. Without buyback. It's up to Arbit. But Arbit's been chased down. Jab's looking to retreat. Arbit surely has no way out. Will pop the Manta, continuing to run, but the roll is there and the GG is called. Aurora, they are leaving the qualifier. And Kukuys, of all teams, will be proceeding through the lower bracket. I can't believe that's what I'm saying here, John.
Yeah, it's remarkable that this is the storyline for Aurora. I think, we say it all the time that, previously Kukuys team darling, they were always like a dark horse coming in. But, after talking to Armel, I asked him about, Ponyo coming in, what was up with his roster. He's like, I know I made the last minute team for open qualifiers. Somehow we made it. And then he's coming in, he's trash talking the Tessino brothers. Sure, they dropped the lower bracket off of that, but they run down Exe. They dominate Aurora. We got 3 games from Execration, Mike. Aurora, we got 2. They couldn't even force a game 3. That's a massive surprise. And this is a team that qualified to Dream League Season 25 from the upper bracket. So Southeast Asia is just at that point where you can't really predict much. And a big tip of the hat out to Kukuys, to good old Armel, the chief himself. I mean, they showed up today. Despite all odds, they have shown up today.
Yeah, I mean, their run's looking really